She wanted my pool, the one I'd spent 18 months building with my own hands. $47,000. Every tile, every pipe, every drop of sweat. Dolores Pritchard, my HOA president, showed up on my porch with a clipboard and the kind of smile sharks give right before they bite.
Your pool is community property now, Wyatt. 30 days to open it for neighborhood use or you pay $500 in fines.
Every single
day.
Every single day. I stared at her. This is my backyard. Not according to Section 7, Paragraph 12. A rule I'd never heard of. A rule my lawyer had never heard of. Because she'd written it herself, just for me. She thought she had me trapped. She was wrong. Because when you try to steal from an engineer, you don't just lose. You lose spectacularly. In front of everyone. On camera. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And what's the worst thing your HOA has ever done? Let me back up. My name's Wyatt Fletcher, 52, civil engineer, recently divorced, the kind where you split 20 years of memories in a lawyer's office like you're dividing furniture. I got the kids every other weekend. Sienna, 16 and sharp as a knife, and Dane, 14, the quiet observer who misses nothing. I also got the house. Had to buy out my ex's half, which meant starting over financially. But the house in Pinewood Estates, Scottsdale, came with something I dreamed about since college. A backyard big enough for a real pool. 74 homes in our community. Desert landscaping. The kind of neighborhood where everyone's gravel is the same approved shade of beige. I'm an engineer. I know concrete, plumbing, structural loads. So, I hired excavation but did everything else myself. 18 months. Nights, weekends, every spare hour. Ran the plumbing, installed a saltwater system, laid every mosaic tile by hand. A desert sunset on the bottom, oranges and purples like dusk over the superstitions. The smell of wet concrete in 110-degree heat. The crack of tile spacers breaking under pliers. The chemical bite of sealant mixing with desert creosote. The hum of the filtration pump at 6 a.m., better than any alarm clock. $47,000. Saved 30 grand doing it myself. May 2021, finished. Kidney-shaped, 10 feet deep, built-in bench. I filled it and watched Sienna and Dane cannonball in like it was Christmas morning. Best investment I ever made. 3 days later, Dolores Pritchard appeared at my door. HOA president, 5th term. 63, retired bank loan officer. The kind who probably enjoyed denying mortgages. Thin lips, permanent scowl, white Lexus SUV with a coexist sticker. Irony sharp enough to cut glass. Heels clicked on my travertine. Clipboard tucked like a weapon. Wyatt, this pool is stunning. Really gorgeous work. Red flag. Nobody starts with compliments unless they're holding a knife. Thanks. She handed me a letter. Section 7, Paragraph 12 of the CC&RS. Any private amenity over $25,000 must be available for community use. I blinked. Community use? You have 30 days to submit a shared access schedule, or we fine you $500 per day. I laughed. Had to be a joke. Her face stayed stone. Rules are rules, Wyatt. She left, heels clicking away. I called my real estate lawyer. Maureen had never heard of that clause. Posted in the neighborhood Facebook group. Instant split. She's insane versus, well, it is in the rules. 23 comments in an hour. The neighborhood was already picking sides. Then I dug into county records. Dolores had amended that clause herself in 2018, without a full board vote. The original only covered commercial-scale amenities for neighborhoods of 500-plus homes. We had 74. She'd rewritten it, made it vague enough to weaponize against anyone. She'd never enforced it on the Jennings $40,000 pergola. Never touched the Chen's koi pond. Just me. I knew why. 2 months back, Dolores recommended her nephew for the pool job, 78 grand for what I did for 47. I declined politely. Bad move, apparently. That night at dinner, Sienna asked, "Dad, is the HOA lady actually trying to steal our pool?" Dane, quieter. "Can she do that?" I looked at their faces. This pool wasn't just mine. It was the one thing that made custody weekends feel like home instead of a visitation schedule. "She can try," I said. Day 31, letter taped to my door. Fine. $500 per day, effective immediately. Dolores stood on my porch, arms crossed, smiling. You should have listened. Rules are rules. I took the letter inside, read it 3 times. Then I did what every engineer does when facing a problem. I started documenting everything. Timestamps, photos, copies of every letter, every email, every Facebook comment. I pulled the HOA's financial records. Arizona law says any homeowner can FOIA that stuff. In Arizona, homeowners can request full HOA financial records under ARS 33-1805. The HOA has 10 business days to comply or faces $500 per day penalties. Maureen called that night. Wyatt, we can fight this, but it'll be expensive and slow. I stared at my pool through the kitchen window. The LED lights glowed turquoise in the dark. Good, I said, because I'm not paying her a dime. The fines stacked fast, $500 a day. By day 14, I owed $7,000 for the crime of owning a pool in my own backyard. I didn't pay a cent. Maureen Voss, my real estate attorney, sharp enough to cut glass, filed a preliminary injunction to freeze the fines while we fought in court. This is the dumbest HOA case I've seen in 15 years, she said. And I once defended a guy whose HOA fined him for his dog's breed. Can we win? Absolutely. Just depends how much Dolores wants to humiliate herself first. The injunction hearing was set for 3 weeks out. In the meantime, I started pulling threads. 2 weeks in, Maureen called with news. Remember how Dolores claimed Section 7, Paragraph 12 was legitimate? Yeah? I pulled the 2018 HOA meeting minutes. There was no board vote. She just wrote it into the CC and Rs herself and filed it with the county like it had been approved. I sat forward. She can't do that. Correct. Arizona requires board majority vote and written notice to homeowners. She skipped both, which means legally, the rule she's fining you under doesn't exist. The grin on my face could have powered the block. But Maureen wasn't finished. I got curious about Dolores, pulled her building permits. That outdoor kitchen she installed in 2017, the one with the pizza oven and gas line? What about it? Never permitted, no inspections on file. I let that sink in. Dolores was fining me for following every rule while she'd been ignoring them for years. What happens if someone reports an unpermitted gas line? County inspector shows up within 72 hours. If it's not compliant, and unpermitted gas lines almost never are, she fixes it or removes it, plus fines from $500 to $5,000. And anyone can file that report? Public record, completely anonymous. I thanked her and spent the next hour on the county website, uploaded photos from my neighbor's yard with permission, described the unpermitted structure, hit submit. 3 days later, I was making coffee when a county truck pulled up to Dolores's house. I watched through my kitchen window as an inspector knocked. Dolores answered in a bathrobe, face shifting from confusion to alarm. The inspector gestured toward her backyard. She followed, spine rigid, arms crossed tight. 15 minutes later, the smell of burning pepperoni drifted over the fence. Dolores stress cooking in her illegal pizza oven. I raised my mug toward her house. Bon appetit. The inspector handed her a citation and left. Dolores stood in her driveway staring at the paper like it had personally insulted her. That afternoon, the neighborhood Facebook group exploded. Dolores Pritchard. Someone filed a false and malicious report on my home. This is harassment, and I will find out who's responsible. 27 comments in an hour. Gemma Tate, a retired teacher down the street. Maybe focus less on Wyatt's pool and more on your own permits, Dolores. Jim Kowalski, a contractor. If the report was false, the inspector would have dismissed it. Sounds like you got caught. But Dolores had defenders. This is retaliation from Wyatt. He's being a bully. Rules exist for a reason. The neighborhood was splitting. Team Wyatt versus Team Dolores. Sienna scrolled through the comments that night. Dad, people are calling you a bully. I shrugged. Real bullies don't hire lawyers and follow the law. Real bullies throw their weight around and hope nobody pushes back. Like Dolores. Exactly. But Dolores wasn't done. 2 days later, Maureen forwarded an email that made my jaw clench. Dolores had filed a counterclaim. Her demand, I must either fill in the pool completely or grant permanent public access to all 74 households. No middle ground. Destroy it or surrender it. I read it twice, feeling the tension coil in my neck. Maureen's note. Pressure tactic. She's hoping you'll settle. Hearing is 3 weeks out. Stay calm. I walked outside and stood at the pool's edge. Evening sun turned the water molten gold, reflecting off the mosaic tiles I'd spent 4 months placing one by one. The filtration pump hummed steady. A warm breeze carried the smell of creosote and sage. Dolores thought she'd boxed me in, forced me to choose between my money and my dignity. She thought those were my only options. But engineers don't think in binaries. We think in systems, variables, elegant solutions to impossible problems. And Dolores had just handed me a third option, one she'd never see coming. I pulled out my phone and texted Maureen. What if I comply? Give her exactly what she's demanding. 3 dots appeared, a pause. Then, I'm listening. Dolores didn't wait for the hearing. She went to war. Small, petty, calculated attacks designed to break me. 2 days after her counterclaim, I found a violation zip-tied to my mailbox. Parking infraction. Vehicle 11.5 inches from curb. Required, 12 inches. Fine, $150. I measured. 12 inches exactly. Photographed it. Filed it. Next week, mailbox non-compliance. Color charcoal, not approved. Required, black. Fine, $200. My mailbox was black. Home Depot receipt said so. Photographed everything. Then, tree maintenance failure. Desert willow shedding pods on sidewalk. Fine, $300. Desert willows always shed. Half the neighborhood had them. Only mine got cited. I documented everything. Timestamps, photos, comparisons. My evidence folder grew thick. Sienna noticed. Dad, you're becoming paranoid. Not paranoid if they're actually after you. Then Sienna posted a TikTok. Her floating in the pool, caption, when Karens try to steal your summer vibe. 17 seconds, face barely visible. Went semi-viral locally, 40,000 views. Comments, HOAs are tyranny. / your dad is a legend. Dolores lost her mind. Email, urgent, harassment complaint. Your family is engaging in targeted harassment via social media. Remove all defamatory content and issue public apology, or face $250 per day fines and legal action. I walked into Sienna's room. Did you name Dolores? No, just said Karens, plural. Show our address? Dad, I'm not stupid. Good, don't take it down. Her eyes widened. Seriously? She's trying to scare you because she can't scare me. But attacks continued. Late one night, my pool pump shut off. Someone unplugged it. Happened 3 times before I installed a camera aimed at the outlet. Unplugging stopped immediately. Then someone dumped rock salt in my skimmer. Spiked salinity. Threw off chemistry. Cost me $80 and 3 hours rebalancing. No proof. Strong suspicions. Next, anonymous complaint to County Health Department claiming my pool was a public health hazard. Inspector Earl showed up Saturday, mid-50s, sunburned, weary, tested water, checked filtration, reviewed my logs. Sir, your pool's cleaner than 90% of public pools I inspect. No violations? Not even close. He flipped through paperwork. 3rd bogus complaint from this neighborhood this year. Same handwriting every time. Showed me the form. Looping cursive. Purple ink. Dolores' signature. You recognize this? Maybe. He gave me a look. I can't officially tell you, but I'm telling you. False health reports are a misdemeanor in Arizona. Wastes county resources. Repeat offenders face charges. Good to know. Earl left. I filed his report. That night, Maureen called. Injunction hearings Tuesday, but I found something big. How big? Dolores bills the HOA $250 monthly for office supplies. 5 years running. $15,000. For a neighborhood with no office. I cross-referenced expense reports with bank statements. Any Arizona homeowner can request those under state law. It's your dues, your right to audit. She's buying personal items, decor, kitchen gadgets, hiding them as administrative supplies. My jaw clenched. Embezzlement. And she billed $2,400 last year for emergency roof repair on the clubhouse. Okay? The clubhouse is a gazebo. No roof. Payment went to Summit Property Services, not registered in Arizona. Ghost company. I stared at the ceiling. Dolores wasn't just petty, she was a criminal. Can we use this? We have to report it. Criminal territory, but it'll explode the neighborhood. I thought about the attacks, the Facebook wars, neighbors too scared to speak up. Good, I said, let it explode. But not yet. If I reported now, she'd lawyer up, disappear behind attorneys while investigations dragged on. I wanted her caught publicly, spectacularly, and I knew exactly how. The sabotage got worse. 3 nights in a row, I woke up to find my pool pump unplugged again, despite the camera. Whoever was doing it had gotten smarter, approaching from angles the ring couldn't catch. Then my pool started turning green, not gradually, overnight. I went to bed with crystal clear water and woke up to a swamp. I tested it immediately, algae bloom. But the chemistry made no sense. My chlorine levels had crashed to 0, and my pH had spiked to nearly 9. Impossible. I'd tested it the night before. Everything was balanced. I checked the equipment room. Someone had tampered with my chlorine feeder, adjusting the flow valve to nearly closed. No chlorine entering the system meant algae exploded unchecked. I spent 2 days shocking the pool, running the filter 24 hours straight, manually dosing chemicals. Cost me $300 and an entire weekend with my kids. Dane helped me vacuum the bottom. Dad, why don't you just give up? Let her have the stupid pool. I stopped mid-stroke with the vacuum pole. Because if I give up now, she wins. And she'll do this to someone else next year. Someone who can't afford to fight back. He nodded slowly. Didn't say anything else. Just kept vacuuming. But the worst came 4 days before the injunction hearing. I got a call from Maricopa County Code Enforcement. Different inspector this time. Younger guy. Bureaucratic tone. Mr. Fletcher, we've received a complaint that your residential swimming pool is operating as an unlicensed commercial facility. What? The complaint alleges you're charging neighbors for pool access without proper business licensing or liability insurance. I actually laughed. That's insane. I'm not charging anyone anything. I won't even let anyone use my pool. That's the whole point of the lawsuit. Sir, I'm just following up on the complaint. Do you have any documentation showing pool access logs or membership records? No, because there aren't any. Nobody uses this pool except my family. Okay, I'll note that in the file. But I need to inform you, if we receive additional complaints of the same nature, we may need to conduct a formal site inspection. Who filed the complaint? Anonymous. Of course it was. I called Maureen immediately after hanging up. They're trying to bury me in bureaucracy, I said. False complaints, bogus inspections, anything to make this so exhausting I just quit. That's exactly the strategy, Maureen agreed. HOAs do this all the time. They have infinite patience and other people's money to spend on legal fees. They're betting you'll run out of both first. I won't. I know, which is why we're going to hit them hard at the hearing. I've got the evidence on Dolores's illegal amendment, the embezzlement, everything. We're going to shred her credibility in front of the judge. But Maureen didn't know what I knew, because earlier that day, I'd had a visitor. Jim Kowalski, the contractor who lived near the entrance, knocked on my door around noon. Big guy, calloused hands, the kind of person who'd never said more than 10 words to me before. Wyatt, got a minute? Sure. He glanced around like he was checking for surveillance. Dolores came to my house last night. I straightened. What'd she want? She offered to forgive $1,500 in old fines I've been fighting. Landscaping violations from 2 years ago, if I stop helping you and convince the other neighbors to back off. My chest tightened. What'd you say? I told her I'd think about it. He pulled out his phone. Then I recorded the whole conversation. He played it. Dolores's voice, syrupy and venomous. We can make your life much easier, Jim, or we can make it much, much harder. Your choice. I stared at the phone. That's bribery. And witness intimidation, probably. Jim pocketed the phone. Arizona's a one-party consent state for recordings. This is admissible. Why are you helping me? He shrugged. Because 3 years ago, Dolores fined my wife $400 for hanging a clothesline in our backyard. Said it was visually unappealing. We're in the desert. We were trying to save on electric bills. She didn't care. He looked at my pool, then back at me. People like Dolores don't stop unless someone stops them. So I'm stopping her. I shook his hand. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. She's got 2 more board members who'll do whatever she says. If you want to really beat her, you need to take down the whole board, not just her. He was right. That night, I sat in my garage surrounded by documents. Financial records, violation notices, meeting minutes, photos, recordings. The full picture of Dolores's corruption spread across my workbench like a crime board. The fluorescent light above buzzed like a trapped wasp. My coffee had gone cold an hour ago. The smell of old paper and printer toner filled the air. Maureen's plan was to expose Dolores at the hearing, get the injunction, and move on. But Jim's words echoed, take down the whole board. An idea started forming. Dangerous, complicated, possibly insane. But it would work. I texted Maureen. Change of plans. I'm not fighting the counterclaim anymore. 3 dots. Then, excuse me? I'm going to comply, exactly as written, and I'm going to make sure everyone's watching when I do. Long pause. Then, Wyatt, what are you planning? I stared at my pool through the garage window, the water finally clear again after days of work, glowing under the LED lights. Maureen called at 11 p.m. the night before the hearing. Wyatt, if you voluntarily comply with Dolores's counterclaim, you lose all legal grounds to fight. The judge dismisses the case. I know. And you're okay with that. I stared at the pool through my window. Turquoise glow. 18 months of work. $47,000. I'm more than okay, because I found something. Found what? A loophole in the HOA's founding documents. The original 1987 CC and Rs, before Dolores rewrote them. Papers rustled on her end. I'm listening. Page 62. There's a clause, nuclear option, common in older Arizona HOAs. If the board operates in material breach of fiduciary duty, homeowners can petition for a special election to dissolve the entire board. How many signatures? 40%. 74 homes means 30 signatures. Silence. Then, can you get 30? I've got 3 allies, Kowalski's, Bradford's, Gemma Tate. We've been quietly talking to neighbors. 18 signatures so far. That's only 60%, Wyatt. I know, but right now, half the neighborhood thinks I'm just whining. They see Dolores as strict but fair. They don't know she's been stealing. The embezzlement. 15 grand in fake supplies. 2,400 for a non-existent roof repair. Once people see that, they'll sign. But if Dolores catches wind I'm gathering signatures, she destroys evidence and runs. Maureen sighed. So you let her think she won, drain the pool publicly to get attention, then drop the embezzlement evidence. Exactly. That's brilliant or insane. Probably both. Pen tapping, her thinking sound. Finally, okay, but if you can't get signatures, Dolores stays in power and you've lost your pool for nothing. I'll get them. And if she figures it out first? She won't. She thinks I'm beaten. Draining the pool means I'm giving up. You sure? I thought about Dolores on my porch, smiling. Rules are rules. She's underestimated me the entire time. Won't stop now. All right, I'll withdraw the motion tomorrow. But once you drain that pool, there's no going back. Good. I want commitment. Because when this ends, Dolores loses everything. I hung up and walked outside. Night air cool, smell of creosote and distant rain. Pump humming steady. A dog barked twice, went silent. I thought about Sienna's TikTok, the comments calling me a legend. Dane asking why I didn't give up. Some fights aren't about winning. They're about stopping bullies from hurting others. I texted the group chat with Jim, Gemma, and Shanice. Meeting tomorrow night. My place. 7 p.m. Bring anyone you trust who's tired of Dolores. We're ending this. 3 immediate responses. Jim. I'll bring beer. Gemma. Cookies and a list of 8 people who'll sign. Shanice. I'll bring the paperwork. Let's do this. I smiled in the darkness. Dolores had no idea what was coming. They showed up at 7 sharp. Jim and his wife Carla. Gemma with a Tupperware of snickerdoodles. Shanice and her husband Marcus. The Hoffmans, the elderly couple Dolores had terrorized over beige shutters. 2 younger families I barely knew, the Newins and the Patel family. 10 people crammed into my living room, 11 counting me. I spread the evidence across my coffee table. Bank statements, expense reports, photos of the roofless gazebo next to Dolores's invoice for roof repairs, Jim's recording of her bribery attempt. This, I said, is what Dolores has been doing with your HOA dues for 5 years. Silence as they read. Then anger. Mr. Hoffman's hand shook, holding a receipt for scented candles, billed as community outreach materials. $400, he whispered. She fined us $400 for shutters while she was buying candles with our money? Gemma put a hand on his shoulder. We're going to stop her, Frank. I walked them through the plan. Arizona law lets us dissolve a corrupt HOA board through special election. We need 30 signatures, 40% of the neighborhood. We've got 18, need 12 more. Shanice had printed the petition forms, legal language, signature lines, notary spaces. Once we file, the board has 14 days to schedule an emergency meeting. That's when we present evidence publicly and call for a vote. Marcus Delgado, the IT guy, raised his hand. What if Dolores refuses to schedule the meeting? Arizona revised statutes say she has to. If she doesn't, we go to the county and they force it. She can't hide. Jim leaned forward. But here's the thing. If we start collecting signatures now, someone talks, Dolores hears about it, and she lawyers up or destroys evidence before the meeting. Right, I said, which is why we don't start collecting until after I drain the pool. Confused looks. Dolores demanded I either destroy the pool or open it to the community. Tomorrow morning, I'm hiring a commercial drainage company. Big pump, big hose, draining $47,000 worth of water into the street. I've already tipped off the local news. Gemma's eyes widened. You're making it a spectacle. Exactly. Everyone will be watching. Dolores will think she won. She'll be gloating, distracted, triumphant. That's when we move. I pointed to Gemma. You handle the elderly residents. Play the sweet grandmother angle. Dolores has been stealing from us. We need your help. To Jim. You talk to blue-collar families. Frame it as financial waste. Your dues could be 20% lower under honest leadership. To Shanice. You target younger professionals. Make it about governance reform and accountability. She nodded. I can do that. Everyone else, you've got assigned blocks. I handed out neighborhood maps with houses highlighted. We collect Saturday through Monday, 3 days. We file the petition Tuesday morning. Meeting happens within 2 weeks. Mr. Hoffman cleared his throat. What if we don't get 12 more signatures? We will, because after they see me drain that pool, after they see Dolores celebrate it, they'll be angry enough to sign. I pulled out my laptop and showed them the drainage company's plan. Apex Aquatic Solutions. Industrial pump, 8-inch hose, flow rate, 5,000 gallons per hour. My pool holds 20,000 gallons. It'll take 4 hours to drain completely. I've scheduled it for Saturday morning, 8 a.m., peak neighborhood activity. Kids riding bikes, people walking dogs. Everyone will see. I showed them the news email confirmation. KPNX Phoenix was sending a reporter and camera crew. This isn't just about my pool anymore, I said. It's about showing everyone what happens when petty tyrants go unchecked, and then showing them we can fix it. Jim raised his beer. To fixing it. Everyone raised their glasses. Beer, water, coffee. The Wins stayed after to ask questions about the legal process. I walked them through it, explaining how special elections work, how board dissolutions function under Arizona law. Mrs. Wynn, a paralegal, nodded along. This is actually airtight. If you get the signatures, she can't stop it. That's the idea. By 9 p.m., everyone had left. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of Dane playing video games upstairs. I stood in the garage surrounded by maps, petitions, highlighted bylaws. It looked like a war room. Maybe it was. Sienna came down, saw the setup, snapped a photo. Dad's final boss energy, she muttered, typing on her phone. Don't post that yet, I said. Why not? Because we don't tip our hand until we're ready to play it. She lowered her phone, looking at me seriously. You really think this'll work? I looked at the evidence spread across my workbench. 5 years of theft, dozens of families hurt, one corrupt board president who thought she was untouchable. Yeah, I said, I really do. The email hit Friday night at 11:47 p.m. Subject, Urgent. Reckless homeowner threatens property values. Dear residents, Wyatt Fletcher intends to drain his pool into our storm system. This reckless action will create mosquito breeding grounds, attract rodents, and lower property values. Attached. Photographic evidence of improper drainage. Contact Mr. Fletcher and demand responsible action. Dolores Pritchard, HOA President. I opened the attachment. Cracked pool, graffiti, green water. Took 10 seconds to spot the problem. Graffiti said Brooklyn. We were in Arizona. Reverse image search. Stock photo from a 2019 New York demolition. Posted findings in Facebook group with receipts. FYI. Dolores is using fake photos. This is from a stock site. Graffiti says Brooklyn. Marcus jumped in with metadata. 3 neighbors replied, all calling out the Photoshop. Facebook erupted against Dolores. She's lying? How desperate. If she fakes photos, what else is fake? Her credibility cratered. Saturday, 6:47 a.m. 90 minutes before draining, Jim called. Someone slashed 2 tires on the Apex truck. I ran outside. Drainage truck in my driveway. 2 rear tires flat. Rubber split clean. Deliberate. Professional. Security footage. 2:14 a.m. White Lexus circling twice. Headlights off. No plate visible. Didn't need one. Called Apex. Backup truck. 2-hour delay. Called police. Officer Raines arrived. Bored. Mr. Fletcher. Again. Someone vandalized the contractor's truck. He examined tires, took photos. Got enemies? 1. HOA lady? Yep. He closed his notepad. I'll file this, but without clear footage showing who did it, not much I can do. Could be anyone. I have a white Lexus casing my house at 2 a.m. See the plate? No. Circumstantial. He handed me a case number. Call if you get more. He left. News crew arrived at 8:15. We were told 8. Truck vandalized. Should be here by 10. Reporter perked up. Vandalized? Can we film? Showed her the tires. She interviewed me, asked about HOA dispute. I kept it factual, calm, no names. Someone really doesn't want this drained, she said. Apparently not. By 9, 30-plus neighbors gathered. Kids on scooters, coffee cups, clusters talking. Gemma moved through the crowd quietly, clipboard hidden. Jim did the same opposite side. Shanice chatted with younger couples near the camera. Dolores's Lexus pulled up at 9:47. She got out, heels clicking, phone in hand, marching toward the reporter. Excuse me, I'm Dolores Pritchard, HOA President. I need to make a statement. Reporter turned. We're covering Mr. Fletcher's drainage. Comments? This is illegal. He's dumping thousands of gallons without permits. Mr. Fletcher showed us his county permit, the reporter said flatly. Dolores's face tightened. Then it's an environmental hazard. Mosquitoes, pests. County Health inspected 3 times, all clean. Dolores pivoted. This is personal vendetta. Mr. Fletcher refuses community rules. Rules you wrote without board approval? The reporter asked. Dolores froze. Who told you? Public record, county minutes from 2018. Dolores's mouth opened, closed. She looked at me. I smiled. Backup Apex truck arrived 10:03. Crew unloaded industrial pump, unreeled 8-inch hose, positioned over storm drain. Foreman nodded. Ready, sir. I looked at Dolores by the camera, fists clenched. Fire it up. Pump roared. Water surged through hose, gushing into drain like a fire hydrant. 20,000 gallons, 4 hours. The show had begun. The pool drained in 3 hours and 42 minutes. I stood at the edge watching the last gallons swirl down, leaving behind a vast, empty concrete crater. The mosaic tiles I'd spent months placing by hand now reflected harsh sunlight instead of water. The built-in bench at the shallow end looked absurd without its purpose. The news crew filmed the whole thing. The reporter did a closing stand-up with the empty pool behind her. A Scottsdale homeowner has drained his $47,000 pool after his HOA demanded he either destroy it or open it to public use. The dispute heads to court next month. Dolores watched from her car, windows up, engine running for AC. She didn't approach, didn't speak, just watched with that thin smile, like she'd won something. Let her think that. The crowd dispersed slowly. Parents dragged reluctant kids away. A few neighbors stopped to shake my hand, express sympathy, take photos of the empty pool. Gemma caught my eye from across the yard, gave a slight nod. Jim did the same. Shanice mouthed, "Tonight," and walked away with Marcus. By noon, the neighborhood was quiet again. Just me and an empty hole in the ground. Sienna came outside, stood next to me staring into the void. "It looks weird," she said. "Yeah. You okay?" I thought about that. Was I okay? I just destroyed something I loved, spent 18 months building, invested everything into, for a plan that might not even work. "Ask me in a week," I said. That evening my coalition gathered again. This time at Gemma's house. Neutral ground, less obvious than meeting at mine repeatedly. We'd collected signatures all day while the pool drained. The spectacle had done exactly what I'd hoped. People were paying attention now, asking questions, getting angry on my behalf. Gemma's list. 11 new signatures from elderly residents, including the Hoffmans' neighbors who'd been too scared before. Jim's count. 7 from blue-collar families, guys who worked construction and understood exactly how much a pool that size cost. Shanice's tally. 9 from young professionals, people who valued accountability and hated financial waste. Total new signatures. 27. Combined with our original 1845 signatures, we only needed 30. "We're over," Shanice said, spreading the petition forms across Gemma's dining table. 15 signatures over minimum. Even if some people get cold feet, we're solid. Jim cracked a beer. "When do we file?" "Monday morning," I said. "First thing. County clerk's office opens at 8. We file the petition. They notify the board by end of business. Dolores has 14 days to schedule the emergency meeting." Marcus pulled up a calendar on his phone. "So, meeting happens no later than," he counted, "June 28th, 2 weeks from tomorrow." "Perfect," Shanice said. "Gives us time to prepare the embezzlement presentation, organize witnesses, get media there." "Media?" Gemma looked uncertain. "Absolutely," I said. "This needs to be public. If we do this behind closed doors, Dolores spins it as a personal attack. But if reporters are there, if neighbors are there, if everything's on record, she can't run from it." We spent the next hour planning logistics. Who would present which evidence, how to structure the accusations, what questions to anticipate. Mrs. Wynne, the paralegal, had volunteered to notarize all the signatures. She'd done it Sunday afternoon in her garage, stamp and seal making everything official. "This is bulletproof," she'd told me. "Every signature verified, every form properly executed. Dolores can't challenge the legitimacy." The week that followed was the strangest of my life. My empty pool became a neighborhood landmark. People walked by to stare, take photos, point. Some left flowers at the edge like it was a memorial. One kid left a handwritten note. "This is so unfair. I'm sorry about your pool." I kept the note. Dolores was invisible all week. Her Lexus stayed in her garage. No violation notices appeared on my door. No emails from the HOA. Radio silence. Jim thought she was regrouping, planning her defense. Shanice thought she was looking for a lawyer. I thought she was convinced she'd won and had moved on to tormenting someone else. Wednesday afternoon, I got a LinkedIn notification. Dolores Pritchard had updated her profile. Seeking new opportunities in property management and community relations. Available for relocation. She was planning to bail. I screenshot it, sent it to Maureen. She knows something's wrong. She's getting ready to run. Maureen called immediately. "We need to file that petition now. If she resigns before we can hold the meeting, she walks away clean. We file Monday like planned. She won't resign until she has another job lined up, and that takes time. We've got a window. You better be right." "I am." Thursday evening, Dolores broke her silence with another neighborhood email. Subject: Board meeting announcement. The HOA board will hold a special meeting on June 28th, 7 p.m. at the Community Clubhouse Gazebo. Agenda: review of annual budget, discussion of pending litigation, and community updates. All residents welcome. I read it twice, then called Shanice. She scheduled it. Scheduled what? The meeting, June 28th, same date as our petition deadline. Shanice was quiet for a moment, thinking. She doesn't know about the petition yet. This is just her regular quarterly meeting. which means when we file Monday, she'll be forced to add our petition to the agenda of a meeting she already scheduled. Perfect. She won't have time to cancel or reschedule. She's trapped. I smiled. Exactly. Friday night, I sat alone by the empty pool. The concrete was already collecting dust, a few leaves skittering across the bottom pushed by the evening breeze. The filtration pump sat silent. I'd shut it off to save electricity. Dane came out, sat next to me at the edge, legs dangling into the void. "You think it'll be worth it?" he asked. "What?" "All this, the pool, the fighting, everything." I looked at him. 14 years old, too perceptive for his own good, watching me with the same skeptical intelligence his mother used to have. "I think," I said slowly, "that some things are worth fighting for even if you lose, and some people need to be stopped even if it costs you something." He nodded, didn't say anything else, just sat there with me in the cooling dark, the empty pool between us like a promise waiting to be filled. Monday morning, 8 a.m. I walked into the Maricopa County Clerk's office with 45 notarized signatures, 3 copies of the petition, and a check for the filing fee. The clerk processed it, stamped it, handed me a receipt. "You'll receive confirmation of filing within 24 hours. The HOA board will be notified by certified mail and email within 48 hours. "Thank you." I walked outside into the June heat, pulled out my phone, and texted the group chat. "It's done. Petition filed. The clock starts now." 5 responses came immediately. Jim: "Hell yes." Gemma: "God bless you, Wyatt." Shanice: "Let's finish this." Marcus: "I'll bring popcorn to the meeting." And Sienna, who'd somehow gotten added to the chat: "Dad's final boss fight begins." I looked up at the sky, cloudless, impossibly blue, the kind of Arizona morning that makes you believe anything is possible. Dolores had no idea what was about to hit her. But in exactly 11 days, she would. June 28th arrived, hot and tense. By 6:30 p.m., the community clubhouse gazebo area was packed. 70-plus residents crammed into folding chairs, standing room only along the edges, kids sitting on the grass, people holding smartphones recording everything. The local news crew set up in the back, same reporter from the pool draining, camera on tripod, notebook ready. My empty pool was visible in the distance, a glaring concrete scar cutting across the common area view. Dolores had ensured the meeting location gave everyone a perfect view of what she'd forced me to do. Fitting. She sat at a fold-out table facing the crowd, flanked by the 2 other board members, Greg Polino, a nervous accountant who looked like he wanted to disappear, and Sandra Yu, a real estate agent who kept checking her phone like she had somewhere better to be. Dolores wore a navy blazer, pearls, full makeup, dressed for battle or victory, hard to tell which. The meeting opened at 7 sharp. "Good evening, Pinewood Estates residents," Dolores said, voice steady but tight. "We'll begin with our standard quarterly budget review. Point of order." Shanice Bradford stood up in the 3rd row, lawyer voice cutting clean through. "The board received a special election petition filed Monday, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statutes Section 33-1804. That petition must be addressed before any other business." Dolores's jaw tightened. "Mrs. Bradford, we'll address that in due time. Arizona law says otherwise. The petition takes priority over all agenda items. You have no choice." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Half the residents looked confused. The other half, my coalition and the people they'd brought, looked ready for war. Dolores shuffled papers, trying to maintain control. "Fine. The board acknowledges receipt of a petition requesting dissolution and special election. However, this petition is based on unsubstantiated claims." "Unsubstantiated?" I stood up, manila folder in hand. "I have bank statements, expense reports, and county records proving you've embezzled over $18,000 in 5 years. The crowd went dead silent. "That's slander," Dolores snapped. "I will not." "It's documented fact." I walked to the front, opened my laptop, connected it to the portable projector I'd brought. The HOA's own financial records appeared on the white screen mounted behind Dolores. Slide 1. Expense report showing $250 per month for office supplies, $15,000 over 5 years. You've billed the HOA for office supplies every month since 2019. We don't have an office. What exactly are these supplies? I clicked to the next slide. Receipts cross-referenced with bank statements. Scented candles, throw pillows, a KitchenAid mixer, all coded as administrative materials. Gasps from the crowd. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Dolores's face went pale. Those were legitimate community purchases. Really? Because this $600 stand mixer was delivered to your home address. I showed the delivery confirmation. Greg Polino leaned away from Dolores like she was radioactive. I never approved any of these. Next slide. The roof repair invoice. Last year you billed $2,400 for emergency roof repair on our clubhouse. Problem is, I gestured behind us at the open-air gazebo. There's no roof, just a shade structure. No shingles, no tiles, nothing to repair. I showed the invoice for Summit Property Services and the State Business Registry search showing 0 results. This company doesn't exist, which means you paid yourself through a shell entity. The crowd erupted, voices overlapping, angry, confused. This is outrageous. She stole from us? I want my money back. Dolores stood, shaking. This is a coordinated attack by a disgruntled homeowner who refuses to follow community standards. You wrote those standards yourself. Jim Kowalski stood, holding up the meeting minutes. Section 7, paragraph 12. The rule you used to fine Wyatt was never approved by board vote. You just added it to the CC and Rs and filed it with the county like it was legitimate. Sandra Yu stood abruptly, grabbed her purse. I resign, effective immediately. I'm not going down with this ship. She walked out. One down. I pulled out Jim's phone, connected it to the speaker. Before you deny everything, Dolores, you should know we have recordings. I played it. Dolores's voice, crystal clear. We can make your life much easier, Jim, or we can make it much, much harder. Your choice. That's witness intimidation and bribery, Shanice said. Both crimes in Arizona. Dolores sank back into her chair, hands trembling on the table. The petition before you, I said, addressing the crowd now, not Dolores, requests dissolution of this board and a special election. We have 45 signatures, well over the required 30. All notarized, all legitimate. Arizona law requires you vote on this tonight. I looked at Dolores directly. Unless you'd like to resign first and save everyone the trouble. She stared at me, hatred and fear warring in her eyes. Then headlights swept across the gazebo. An unmarked sedan pulled up. 2 plainclothes detectives stepped out, badges on their belts. Arizona Attorney General's Office, Economic Crimes Unit. I'd filed the embezzlement report 3 days ago. Time to hit right as the meeting started. The detective approached our table. Dolores Pritchard? She nodded, unable to speak. We need you to come downtown to answer some questions regarding financial irregularities and HOA fund management. You can't. Ma'am, you're not under arrest. We just need to talk. But I'd advise you to bring a lawyer. The crowd watched in stunned silence as Dolores stood, legs unsteady, and followed the detectives to their car. She didn't look back. The camera kept rolling. Greg Polino, the last remaining board member, cleared his throat. I think we should vote on the petition. All in favor of dissolving the current board? Shanice called out. 52 hands shot up. Opposed? 4 hands. Die-hard Dolores loyalists. 6 abstentions. Motion passes, Shanice said. The board is dissolved. And just like that, it was over. The crowd erupted in applause. People hugging, cheering, a few wiping tears. I stood there, exhausted, watching Dolores's taillights disappear down the street. Sienna ran up and hugged me. Dad, you did it! Dane was right behind her, grinning. We did it, I corrected. All of us. The news reporter approached, camera still running. Mr. Fletcher, how do you feel? I looked at my empty pool in the distance, then back at the gazebo full of neighbors, finally free of a tyrant. Tired, I said honestly. But good. Really good. Dolores was charged with 3 counts of felony embezzlement 1 week after the meeting. She sold her house within 30 days, moved to Tucson before the trial, trying to disappear. The case is still pending, but her lawyer's already talking plea deals. Greg Polino resigned the morning after the showdown, citing health reasons. I saw him at the grocery store once. He apologized. I told him it was okay. He was a coward, not a criminal. He nodded and walked away. We held emergency elections 2 weeks later. New 3-person board, all volunteers who'd been part of the coalition. Gemma Tate, president. She runs meetings with cookies and common sense. Shanice Bradford, treasurer. Every dollar accounted for, every expense transparent, monthly reports posted online. Marcus Delgado, secretary. Digital records, online voting, no more mystery amendments. Their first official act, rescind every fine Dolores had ever issued, including my $7,000. Checks went out to 18 families who'd been targeted over the years. Second act, rewrite the CC and Rs. Removed Dolores's fake amendments, restored the originals, added term limits, maximum 2 consecutive terms for any board position, no more dynasties. Third act, vote on my pool. The motion. Whereas Wyatt Fletcher's pool was built legally and poses no community burden, and whereas the previous board's claim of community property was fraudulent, the HOA formally recognizes Mr. Fletcher's exclusive ownership and apologizes for the hardship caused. Vote, unanimous. I refilled my pool the next weekend. Took 36 hours. Water bill, $340. Worth every penny. Sienna and Dane helped, standing by with the hose, watching the water level rise inch by inch. When it finally reached the fill line, we all jumped in fully clothed. Best swim of my life. But I made one change to my original plan. I proposed, and the new board approved, an annual community pool day every 4th of July. One day a year, my pool opens to all Pinewood families. Voluntary. Free. Donations accepted for local youth sports programs. First event raised $2,400, enough to sponsor 2 Little League teams for the season. Turns out when you invite people instead of being forced, they actually want to come. And they chip in because they appreciate it. Funny how that works. 3 months later, I got a Facebook message from someone in Ohio. Saw your story on the news. Our HOA is trying to ban vegetable gardens, says they're agricultural use and violate residential restrictions. Any advice? I smiled, typed back. Document everything. FOIA your financial records. Find your allies. Don't let them make you feel crazy. You're not alone. I've gotten 47 messages like that since. HOA. Horror stories from across the country. People trapped by petty tyrants with clipboards. I answer every one. Because here's what I learned. Most people don't fight back not because they can't, but because they think they're alone. They think the system is rigged and resistance is futile. Sometimes it is rigged, but it's never futile. Now, if you've survived an HOA nightmare, or you're living through one right now, drop a comment below. What's the craziest rule your HOA has ever tried to enforce? Let's crowdsource the absurdity. You'd be surprised how many people are dealing with the exact same nonsense. And if you want more stories about ordinary people beating broken systems, hit that subscribe button. Because Dolores wasn't the only petty tyrant out there. Next week, the landlord who tried to charge a tenant for emotional damages to a carpet. Spoiler, it didn't go well for him. Last week, I was floating in my pool at sunset. Kids on rafts beside me, the mosaic tiles glowing orange and purple under the water, the filtration pump humming its steady rhythm. A neighbor walked by with his dog, waved. "Pool looks great, Wyatt." "Thanks." He kept walking. The dog barked once. Somewhere down the street, kids laughed. Just another evening in Pinewood Estates. Normal. Peaceful. The way it should have been from the start. I closed my eyes, let the water hold me, and thought about how far we'd come, how much it had cost, how worth it had been. Some fights aren't about winning. They're about making sure the next person doesn't have to fight alone. And in the end, that's the only victory that really matters.
Wyatt didn't lose his pool. He weaponized it. When Dolores demanded he either destroy it or hand it over to the neighborhood. Most people would lawyer it up or hope for the best. Wyatt did something smarter. He gave her exactly what she asked for. Drains $47,000 worth of water right into the street. TV cameras rolling, whole neighborhood watching. The lawyer thought she won. That's when he moved. 45 signatures in 3 days. $18,000 in embezzlement laid out on the projector screen. A roof repair invoice for a gazebo with no roof. unpresented at a public meeting while cops wait outside. She didn't just lose her position, she lost everything. But here's the part that matters. Wyatt got his pool back, refilled it, and now, one day a year, he opens it to the whole community voluntarily. Last 4th of July, they raised $2,400 for Little League. Turns out, when you invite people instead of being forced, they actually show up and they appreciate it. So here's my question. Does your HOA have a Deloitte? Someone building office supplies nobody sees, writing rules nobody votes on? Drop a comment, tell me what's happening in your neighborhood. And subscribe for more stories of people who fought back smart, not just hard. Because petty power only wins when nobody checks the receipts.